Inzwischen die 45 der Welt. Relentless Ryan Joyce. Ryan Joyce nimmt es mit einem Mann auf, der schon in einem European Tour Finale stand vor ein paar Jahren in München. Er ist aktuell die Nummer 22 der Welt, war einer der 9 Contender in der Premier League in diesem Jahr und hatte einen unfassbaren Abend in Aberdeen. Er kommt aus den schottischen Highlands, der Highlander John Henderson!
Penultimate game of the afternoon session here at the European Darts Match Play from the MyMarks Haller in Mannheim. And it's Big Hendo, John Henderson, the Highlander from Scotland, taking on Ryan Joyce from northeast of England. Big Hendo looking to set up a repeat of his World Grand Prix semi-final from a couple of years ago with Darryl Gurney. That's who the winner will face. But Ryan Joyce he's had a couple of quarter-final runs this year on the Pro Tour. I haven't seen him do anything massively of note on the European Tour. Hasn't made it to many of them. Hendo, who started the year so well, continually making quarter-finals, it's just kind of petered out a little bit. Those quarter-finals have turned into last 32s, and he drew a blank completely on the Pro Tour weekend in Hildesheim last month. Can he return to form and go on a run here in Germany? Chris Murphy in the commentary box for this one. It is the Highlander versus relentless Ryan Joyce.
Yeah, Henderson was in a fantastic match at the Match Play, wasn't he? It was kind of a heroic defeat.
Something he specialises in, to be honest.
Yeah, at Blackpool in particular.
Jose Ryan to throw first. Game on.
The last couple of years, the famous match against Kim Huybrechts last season, and then an equally brilliant one against Simon Whitlock this.
Yeah, lost out 10-8 to Whitlock at the Winter Gardens. It's a number of years now since Hendo won a game there.
A little bit of history, the Huybrechts one, wasn't it? The first ever match in the first round to be decided in a last leg shootout.
Yeah, and the first time Kim Huybrechts had ever won at the Winter Gardens.
Ryan Joyce, a quarter-finalist on the biggest stage of them all. Ali Pally back in December, lost out to Michael van Gerwen. Some would say before a dart was thrown, including Ryan Joyce.
First 180 in the match goes to Big Hendo. Yeah, it's been a curious one. I've seen Ryan Joyce a handful of times this year. And he has had a couple of quarter-final runs, but I don't think he's been quite as impressive as what was a truly excellent debut year on the tour. He's still working his way back to those sorts of levels of performance.
93,
almost as if the expectation has been an added pressure on Ryan Joyce. Having had such a solid debut season where he was cashing in every event, wasn't he, for a long period of time.
84.
Well, curiously, I did have a word with him earlier on. A couple of times this year I've seen him, and he's
97.
just
Johnny
not looked
Record,
interested.
40.
He's thrown the games away.
Hendo edging closer.
No score.
Not close enough.
Ryan requires 65.
Tops he wants, Joyce. Now for double 10.
55.
Two
Johnny requires
uncharacteristic
40.
misses.
Thank you. Games on the first leg, John Henderson.
Hendo does pin double top. It is his favourite
Second
double.
leg, John
Breaks the
to
throw,
reverse.
goes 1-0 up. Yeah, Joyce, he
Game
looked
on.
like he'd thrown those games away, but as explained, that he was struggling with illness on both occasions. One time he had hay fever so bad he could barely see the board, but he was feeling so
123.
sluggish and lethargic that he was just trying to try something to get himself going, change the pace. We've seen players do that, of course, and they're not playing particularly well. They'll just try and change things up.
81.
Yeah, and it can look like you're just trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
100.
This is the first stage meeting between this pair. Have locked horns on the floor on 3 occasions.
Yeah, all last year. 2 of them went to last leg deciders, so
140.
George Funf Noble might have a bit of work to do before this one's over.
Henderson leads the head-to-head 2-1. But it was Joyce who won the most recent meeting.
$100.
Well, Henderson's having a battle, I assume, with a fly there.
$85.
I thought Hendo might have had a look at the 19 segment with that last dart.
100.
Nice
Your
start there this
139.
time. Chooses not to.
Can hear the cogs whirring, can't you?
He was almost hoping to hit a single there, wasn't he? So he knew what to do with his last start.
78. Ryan, you require 80.
And that does actually hurt him, that dart. Sometimes they don't really matter. I suppose it doesn't matter anyway, because Ryan Joyce breaks straight back, takes out the 80 with a standard Ryan Joyce 1 dart at a double, it goes finish.
Yeah, and Ryan Joyce throws kind of flat darts, doesn't he? So that kind of combination
43.
is ideal for him.
Yeah, you expect when these two meet that Hendo outscores Joyce and Joyce finishes better.
140.
That's what you expect. Now that doesn't, toss a coin who's going to win it. They've had close games in the past. You would say that Ryan Joyce has had the better results more recently. Hendo has obviously had better results over his career. He's had a much longer career. He's got the experience on his side.
Yeah, and he has actually had, despite the little tail off that you alluded to early on, he's had a standout season, hasn't he, John Henderson?
Oh, well, the start of the year was absolutely incredible from him. It was just quarter-final almost every tournament he entered.
Including whatever happens, what may turn out to be his standout moment, that contender spot at the Premier League in Aberdeen when he drew with Michael van Gerwen.
Yeah, that seemed to come at the right time for him, didn't it? It almost seemed to inspire him at the start of the year, being included as one of the contenders in the Premier League. And whereas a lot of the contenders, a lot of the up-and-coming players, and even Glenn Durrant, who have looked at it and thought, oh, I could have a bit more of this. Hendo's quite happy with his lot. He goes, I'll never play in the Premier League ever again. That will do me.
He embraced the moment rather than thinking about what it might lead to, didn't he?
It was an experience in itself rather than it being a stepping stone to something else. And I think that kind of approach probably allowed him to play in the manner that he did and get the draw against MVG.
Choice is here. Could be the bull. Could be the treble 19. Opted for the latter. Gets himself a dart at double.
73. Ryan, you require 71.
Now, what's the route? 13s, 17s? I think it's the former. It is. And a hold of throw, very nicely done by Ryan Joyce. Did miss a couple of darts in the opening leg, but he's been flawless since.
You do see that more often with the professionals now, that they don't tend to go for the bull in those 90-something combinations. They back themselves to hit a treble with the 2 darts. Or sometimes end up going double-double.
Yeah.
140.
Well, you've got the 2 competing schools of thought on it, and I think our co-commentator Paul Nicholson is adamant that the bullseye is the best way to go. Give yourself a chance.
140.
But then the other competing point of view is that, well, you should be good enough to hit a treble with one of your first 2 darts.
57.
And if you do go the bull, there may be a decent chance that you block your path to it.
140.
Well, so far, Henderson is outscoring Ryan Joyce, and Ryan Joyce is finishing better than John Henderson. This is the kind of game we expected.
57. John, you require 121.
We'll probably look at treble 7.
Just seems a little bit distracted,
81.
doesn't he, Hendo? I don't know if there's still insects or anything up there, but he just, there's a number of times where his visits have been interrupted, where he just seems to change his stance or just check the score. He just seems a little bit distracted and not completely in the zone or focused.
Perhaps he was checking Ryan Joyce's score in that particular turn. Might have changed his
He's on a full flag.
mind on the routes, but in the end, he's tied it up at 2 apiece.
Game on. $93. $100.
Well, the fans here in Mannheim have had their money's worth so far. A couple of games going last leg deciders, a couple of 6-4s, a couple of 6-3s. We've not really seen any massively one-sided affairs as yet. And there's every indication this one is going to go long.
I think the draw has been very, very interesting. That the players that many would have wished to avoid have been drawn together, and often that
60.
That obviously means that the players that perhaps were seen as softer touches in the first round are also playing each other.
Yeah, well, Max Hopp, Willie O'Connor, title winners in PDC darts. Robert Thornton, Kim Hybrex, both Euro Tour winners. Keegan Brown, Simon Whitlock, I mean, a European champion against Keegan Brown, a man who's beaten MVG twice on the Euro Tour. I mean, there's 3 standout games there. As Hendo looks at treble 19, would have left the double.
99, Ryan, you require 110.
Finishing has been good from Ryan Joyce. Does it continue to be so? 1 dart.
90.
Drops some way short.
Well, it's going for Henderson now, that double top.
6 flag, John to throw.
Such a key measure of his game, that target. Actually seems to be the Scottish way, doesn't it? Thornton, Anderson, very much in the same school.
Yeah.
140.
And Peter Wright certainly has switched to using double top a lot more than he used to. Saw Peter Wright make the semis in Austria last weekend. Cruelly denied a spot in the final in a fabulous contest with Michael van Gerwen, despite averaging best part 105 in that game, 7 points more than MVG. Lost in a last leg decider after 13 consecutive holds of throw. Snakebite is here this weekend and will face either Max Hopp or Willie O'Connor. Very difficult section of the draw there that also includes Jamie Hughes and Joe Cullen.
59, John, you
It is
require
Hendo
81.
moving through the gears here because back-to-back 14 darters, followed by an 11 or a 12. Yes, a 12 darter, and John Henderson is asserting himself in this contest.
Game on.
There aren't many men involved in darts who would begrudge John Henderson a first title. He's been knocking on the door for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, and been playing well enough for it to happen. He's just going to need a little bit of luck, or he's going to need a big performance in a final. That semi-final run at the World Grand Prix, the highlight of his PDC career, but we have seen him make a Euro Tour final before. He was only beaten in the last leg decided by MVG.
There's been many days, particularly on the Pro Tour events that we cover here on PDC TV, where Henderson has started to look like the favourite as the draw has opened up, and then has lost at the quarter or semi-final stage.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of occasions earlier on this year where it looked like it was the fabled Big Hendo weekendo, and then he just ran into... Did Willie O'Connor do for him in one of those when Willie won his title? Quite possibly.
60.
This is starting to look like a must-win leg for Ryan Joyce.
100.
Last start does get him to a finish, but Hendo should be on a better one. Maybe not.
82. Ryan, you require 140.
Yes, he's got 2 darter. Joyce needs to find 2 trebles and the double. It's just a little bit too much.
95, John, you require 96.
Hendo's found his range, playing near his top level now in this match, and looking at double 18 to continue this burst.
John Henderson.
And all of a sudden, to what looked like a match that was just warming up, Henderson is looking to put an end to it.
Well, he's won the last 4 legs, 14-14, 12-14. That is an average of around 110.
83.
Overall, it is 103. The first 9 is very, very healthy. We said he would probably outscore Ryan Joyce, but he started to add the finishing in there. I think a big part of that is because in some legs he's been so far ahead, there's not been the pressure from Ryan Joyce.
Generally, when Joyce has had chances, he's taken them, but just hasn't had many.
60.
Was a curious weekend for Henderson last time he played PDC darts. He's had
100.
over a month off while the players have been down under, but he was in a rare group of players to qualify for both of the European Tour events for which qualifiers were held in Hildesheim, but then went on to lose first round in both the Pro Tours.
Yeah, and you almost wonder which he would have preferred. You know, pick up
85.
3 or 4 grand on the Pro Tours that weekend, or qualify for these and maybe win big, big money.
And again, I'm not saying John Henderson would have been one of the favourites, but it was a weekend in which many of the big boys declined to enter.
Yeah. Brendan Dolan, of course, winning his first title for 5 years. Christopher Ratajski winning another one.
140.
Joyce is going to get an opportunity. He'll have 3 darts at double if he needs them.
160.
John Henderson
36.
breathing down his neck.
John Henderson is hitting tops even when he doesn't have to.
Doesn't
matter because Ryan Joyce pins the double 9 and he breaks back. So Christoph Kachuk come from 5-2 down to get match darts against Dirk van Dijvenbode, and at the time Dirk was averaging over 100.
100.
This game isn't over yet.
Easy one.
John Henderson does have work to do to get to the European Championship. Comes here this weekend with £7,000 to his name. Obviously, it'll be 8 with
45.
first round here. But he'd be getting up towards what we think is about 12 grand. He'll need to get to the European Championship, a tournament he has made before and gone on runs before. Made the quarterfinals 4 years ago. So a significant run here could actually secure his place.
Well, this week ahead is massive for many, many players, but Henderson certainly, as we mentioned, is one of the men playing this and the tournament in Riesa next weekend. And of course the Pro Tour in between.
58.
And on a bogey number, but he couldn't do anything after his second dart. Accidentally hit the 1 in the previous visit, so all he wants to do is set this up. Is he going to?
97. Ryan, you're at
not bad.
104. $86. John, you require 62.
Is this the end for Ryan Joyce? Tops. And is this the start of a big Hendo weekendo that could secure his place at the European Championship in Göttingen? 102 average, almost, from the Highlander. Sees off Ryan Joyce 6-3, and we do have a repeat of the Grand Prix semi-final from a couple of years ago. John Henderson will take on Daryl Gurney for a spot in the last 16 tomorrow. One more game to come. It's an all-German affair.
John Henderson mit einem starken Auftritt. Ein Average von 100
at the German Darts Masters World Series event in Cologne just a few weeks ago.
Ryan Joyce, verabschiedet sich hier zum Auftakt. Und damit trifft der Highlander morgen auf Super Chin Daryl Gurney. Und ich denke mal, das wird auch ihn zufriedengestellt haben, was hier gezeigt hat. John, congratulations. I just said average 101, which is pretty good. Satisfied with that?
Oh, very. You need to average over the 100 to beat players like Ryan Joyce. Ryan Joyce is a very good player, so I knew I had to play well. And I must admit, I didn't think it was quite as high as that, but I would take that every day of the week.
What's the plan for this weekend? I mean, Daryl Gurney is waiting, first of all, tomorrow. What's the plan? Is it reaching the Sunday, win the whole thing?
Well, we're all here to win it. So I've got me and Darryl always have good games. We've had good games in the past. I'm sure tomorrow will be no different. But I'm not here just to make up numbers. I'm here to win. So let's bring it on.
See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. John Henderson. Sagt, wir sind natürlich alle gekommen, um das Ding hier zu gewinnen. Und morgen gegen Daryl Gurney schon einige gute Matches gehabt. Der ist selbstverständlich sehr zufrieden mit